Welcome, you guys, to another edition of Behind the Visual. I am your host, Mark Hansen, lifestyle and advertising photographer. And this is the podcast where I interview all those people responsible for the images and videos you see out in your world every single day. And today, my guest is Forrest Abruzzo. He is the senior art director at MullenLowe US out in LA. And in this podcast, we talk about all kinds of cool stuff. With that new Corona ad or ads that are out, Forrest did those. So we'll talk about Bad Bunny. We talk about Snoop Dogg. We talk about Zoe Saldana. We talk about him working with Rick Ross. We talk about getting rejected by McSweeney's over and over and over again, but finally got in there. And now he's writing some stuff, some satire for them, which is very cool. We talk about some conversations he had with a celebrity athlete that he has never told anybody. You guys need to check that out. We talk about driving from Colorado to Atlanta for a job interview, not a job, just an interview. So listen to find out if that actually happened. We talk about the worst job he ever had, which has to do with animals and poop. And we talk about life growing up in Pennsylvania, working from home, and all kinds of other things. So check this one out. Think you'll like it. Like it, thumbs up it, subscribe to it, leave comments. Let me know what you think. I'll be very interested in hearing from you guys on this one. Cool. And for getting up early.
Oh, I've been up.
Have you?
Yeah, so I'm living in Colorado and I work in Los Angeles. I'm working remotely. So
yeah, how'd that work? Okay, so I saw that you're working for an LA MullenLowe in LA, but you're living in Colorado.
Yeah.
Did you get the job while you were in Colorado and were allowed to work remotely, or did that all happen once COVID hit?
It all happened once COVID hit. So I was working in LA for 2 years or something like that at Mullen, and then the pandemic hit, and I was just living in Los Angeles, working from home for a while. And then my wife, her family lives in Colorado. I went to the University of Colorado, and I have friends here and stuff. So not that I guess you were seeing too many friends during the pandemic, but it's just a comfortable place for me. And we were like, you know what, we debated it a lot, but we just said, let's take this opportunity. It's kind of once in a lifetime, and move to Colorado. And so I've just been kind of hanging out here until things blow over.
How long do you think it's going to be? I mean, have they said anything about when you guys need to come back into the office?
They're starting to talk about it. Yeah. Nothing's set in stone yet. Obviously, they don't know who's been vaccinated and stuff like that yet. But I think they're like shooting for something around September. And they're kind of like slowly, bringing people back, 20% capacity, stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't think anyone knows for sure yet, but the plan for Mullen at least is to go back.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard different things from different people. Some they're going back, like you said. Most everybody's looking at that like August, September kind of thing that are going back. And there's some people said they may think they may never go back, like full time go back.
It's a big debate. Like people really feel one way or the other. I'm personally like I like working from home. I feel like I can just kind of dial into the stuff I'm doing and like not worry about commuting and worry about just small talk. Not that I don't think that's nice and helpful. So there's certain situations where I feel like it would be nice to be together, and I would be happy to be together in those. But yeah, I just like to just get into my zone and just like design stuff and just I don't know, kind of just be so protected, like there's not people walking by my screen, looking over my shoulder and stuff like that. But
yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah, my wife, she's runs an outpatient rehab center, and they've been doing remotely since COVID hit. And they've all decided they need to start going back into the office now. And she had a couple of people that were just adamantly against it. And the CEO was just like, I don't care. Everybody's got to come in. And it just went back and forth. Finally, they agreed to all go in. But even my wife's like, I could work from home forever.
Yeah.
Fine with it.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. They want to put butts in seats and,
Yeah.
get their money's worth. But
Well,
yeah.
it helps if you don't tell your boss, well, this summer I was planning on gardening and hanging out by the pool. So I really don't want to come into work.
But you know what? I will say there is like an aspect of just and everyone has their different opinions. Some people want to go in and be around people all the time. They're extroverted.
Yeah.
I'm the type that it actually kind of helps my mental health to, I think, be able to take a walk in the middle of the day and
Hmm.
not think twice about it. I think there's just kind of a pressure that is on you when you're in a kind of workplace setting where, I mean, yeah, and my job is great about things like this. I could easily take a walk in the middle of the day. I'm not saying I can't, but just something nice about the freedom of being in your own space and being able to kind of do things, go walk the dog
Oh,
or
yeah.
whatever it may be. I just think it's, for me, really really helpful for my mental health.
I don't see a problem with it as long as you get your work done.
That's exactly right. And
Yeah.
yeah, always do
As long
that.
as
So.
it's legit. Did you grow up in Colorado or did you just move there for school?
No, I moved there for school. I grew up in central Pennsylvania in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, wow.
So
Where?
yeah, so I kind of came from well, it was not the middle of nowhere. It was kind of near Penn State University. So
In
that was
Harrisburg?
I have been to the Harrisburg airport a bunch. It's actually I was born in a place called Port Matilda,
Okay.
which is like 500 population, but I spent a lot of my time in State College, which is like the college town of
Right.
Penn State.
Wow. So when did you decide to get out? At what age were you like, I'm leaving?
Yeah, my parents really encouraged me a lot to just kind of get out and see the world. Of course, I was in a bubble for so many years, and the other thing is like State College, Pennsylvania it's like a big like college football town. So
Yeah.
it's like not only is it a bubble, just you're kind of a kid and you're in the middle of Pennsylvania, but it's also like this very kind of just cult-like environment. It's just very they think they're like football coaches are gods, and
Right. Yeah.
it's just like a very strange place to be to kind of grow up there and just think that this is all that exists. So yeah, my parents were always encouraging me to go to school elsewhere. I you know was very privileged to have the opportunity to go to other schools besides the ones right in my hometown. And my sister, who's 3 years older than me, went to the University of Colorado. So they obviously
Okay.
encouraged her as well. So, I got to visit a couple times, and I really didn't know what it was when I was 18 that I wanted to do with my life. But I wanted to go to, be in Colorado. It's just beautiful. It's a magical place. So yeah, that's how I decided to kind of get out.
Were you were you like artsy as a kid? Like were you drawing and that kind of thing? And is that how you got into being an art director, or was that something that just came later?
Yeah, so I mean, when I was very young, I was like really into drawing, and I think I got discouraged maybe like in literally like third or fourth grade. There was like some sort of drawing competition, and I like didn't get in the top three, and I was like, oh man, like maybe this isn't for me. Just a child thinking like
Yeah.
over dramatic. Um, and I so it was always kind of like a part of me. But I guess when I went to high school, and I was like a very serious youth hockey player. So I was like playing AAA youth
Oh wow.
hockey, and I played with NHL players and stuff like that. It was like a
Damn.
big part of my life. So at that time I was just like very, and school was tough for me too, balancing sports and school and trying to be a kid. And I was kind of just, being a kid for the longest time. And then once I did go to the University of Colorado, I think I kind of got away from all the chaos that was my just like, you know, my high school kind of young life, and I kind of was able to just tap into the passions that I felt like I really, you know, were a part of me. And I would, you know, just constantly kind of on Photoshop and messing around. And I think that's what sort of started me thinking like, okay, maybe this is a possibility because I'm good at Photoshop. I can, you know, maybe I can spin this into something because, you know, I was trying to find a career path. And, you know, luckily I had opportunities. Again, I can't thank my family enough for being able to, you know, send me to a place that's just, you know, kind of a fresh start at that age. I mean, most people don't get opportunities like that. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's really, really beneficial for me.
that's killer, man. Yeah, that's very cool. Did you want to play professional hockey when you were younger?
Definitely when I was younger, I was a goalie.
Oh wow.
And so you know, I know everything there is to know about hockey and also hockey goalies. But yeah, I mean, it was my dream for so many years. But you know, when I went to, by the time I got to high school, I think I was just over it. I was
Yeah.
playing with 3 teams, playing every day, like just, I was just over it, man. Like I just, I kind of burned out and I just wanted to, you know, go to parties and just be a kid and just, you know, do stupid stuff. So yeah, like sometimes I still think like, cause I'll even have, you know, such a part of my life for so long, I'll even have dreams where I'm playing hockey because it's just so like
Yeah.
ingrained in how much I've just like my time on earth. And so sometimes I kind of miss it, but in retrospect, I'm so glad that I'm doing what I'm doing. I can be creative, and it's just such a different world. But yeah, like I said, like this kid that I grew up with, Sam Lafferty, I played with him my whole life. You know, went to his birthday parties and stuff. And now I think he's on the Pittsburgh Penguins, and he's like, you know, doing a really great job. And other kids I played against are in the NHL, and it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. Yeah, I
Yeah,
get it. Both my daughters played volleyball and they both played like at the highest like travel levels and all that kind of stuff. And both of them about end of sophomore year in high school, they both had gone in going, I'm going to go play in college. I want to get a scholarship. I want to play in college. By about end of sophomore year, my oldest was like, I'm done with it completely.
yeah,
I can't do it anymore. And my youngest said, I no longer want to play in college. And she dropped down to playing just more with girls who were in the same thing as her. They'd all been at the top, but decided they didn't want to play in college. So they have what they call it like travel light. So they played mostly for fun. They were really good, but same kind of deal. They just got burnt out from playing so much nonstop.
and what were your thoughts? Like, what did you tell them when they were kind of telling you these things?
When they were both considering it, I told them both I was fine with it. You know, I didn't want them to continue doing something, and I'm pretty sure my youngest was doing it probably a little bit longer because of us, my wife and myself, because she was a little bit better than my older daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And so when my older daughter said she wanted to quit, we're like, but you're doing all right. You're doing well. And she was just, because she was like, went straight into varsity as a freshman, that kind of deal. And she was just like, I don't want to do it anymore. So we were okay. And same thing with the second one. My youngest one, Ashlyn, she didn't want to, she's just like, I don't think I want to play in college. And we were like, are you sure? So we wanted to just make sure she was sure. And we're like, why don't you just finish out? Because she figured that out halfway through a travel season. Right. You need to at least finish out this season and then we'll go from there. And at the end of the season, she was like, yeah, I still don't want to play in college. She went to a recruiting seminar and one of the coaches was like, we own you. When you come to school, you will have, forget spring break. You maybe have a day or two, forget, all your summer. You will be back here in July. And she was like, I don't want to do that. And then even one of her coaches, when we told him, he was like, you know what? It's for volleyball anyway. He said, unless you want to go and play in Europe to play professionally, he said, there's no reason to continue playing in college.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a similar kind of approach that my parents took. although I was kind of like a mess in high school, and I really wanted to quit while I was still in high school.
Yeah.
And I really, I'm so grateful to them to, it's not like they forced me to play. They had no idea about hockey. This was kind of a new world to them too, but they just encouraged me to finish high school hockey and those years of my life. Cause and you know what? I'm glad they did, because I'm happy that I finished, and went through all that. And then I just decided, I'm not going to play in college. It's too much, but yeah, I think I would have probably regretted it if I had stopped when I was 16.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My oldest didn't regret it at all. My youngest, she continued. She finished out high school. She loved her high school team. So she
Mhm.
played all the way through. She actually graduates tomorrow. So she played all the way through, and then she just let the travel stuff go this last year. She didn't play travel this year, which
Gotcha.
there was no real point in anyway. So when you went to University of Colorado, how long was it before, did you go in with a major like set in your head? And like, because I changed like 3 times, 4 times, I think, before I finally
Yeah,
got
no,
to it.
I started as a film major, and I got so discouraged from that, thinking that there was no, path to a career there, which is funny, because looking back, I really kind of wish I would have at least held on to the film like minor. I just totally dropped it,
Yeah.
because I was so passionate about it in school, and it was like, really me chasing like after what I thought, I just loved. And I think it would have been super beneficial for me even now if I would have stayed along that path, because I pretty much stopped taking those classes after like, my freshman year.
Oh, wow.
And I switched into, well, I switched a couple times. I switched to history, not knowing what I was doing. And sorry, my dog's scratching at the door
Oh,
behind
that's
me.
fine.
And I hang on one
You can
second.
let your dog in. Yeah.
Yeah, I might.
Yeah. Oh, you're muted.
Oh, sorry
There
about
you
that. Okay. Okay. So anyway, so I started as a film major. I really loved that. I switched to history. I had no idea why. I was just kind of like trying new things. I was like, maybe film isn't the way to go, but history wasn't the way to go for me. And then I was kind of like, I was a little bit lost. Like I wanted to just drop out of school. I didn't see the point in, having so much money be spent, and really not having a path. And I took an advertising class with a professor named Mindy Cheval. It was like a very intro level class, and I felt like I was, pretty good at it. I was doing pretty well in it. But again, it was still kind of like just another intro level class out of the bunch that I've taken. And I'm a sophomore now at this point. And over the summer, my mom encouraged me to do something called Ads A2B, which was like basically a 3-week summer course that was like all intensive advertising 101. And I think it was
Oh,
mainly
wow.
for like seniors who had graduated, that were like trying to get a job. And but I took this class, and I was like, I went every day. I went, I was like really into it, and like, asking questions, and like really just, it felt like I was actually good at this thing, creative advertising.
Yeah.
And at the end of the course, so backtrack for a second, I had actually applied to the journalism school at University of Colorado before this, and gotten rejected. So I was kind of, again, like, what do I do? It was I had too low of a GPA. And at the end of this 3-week course, Mindy Cheval, that professor who kind of ran the course, like, took me aside and was like, I think you're like, you could be good at this. Like, why don't you go ahead and apply again for the journalism school? And like, you know, I felt like, okay, she's gonna help me out.
Yeah.
And I got in, and I was in the creative advertising track, and it got cut down from 40 kids to 20 kids and like to the very last advanced class. And, it was the first time that I felt like I like was able to get A's in school. I was, just succeeding. It was really surreal. It changed my life. Like that professor, Mindy Chabal.
Yeah, that's great, man.
Yeah.
Does your mom have something to do with that? What's your mom do? Anything? Does she work? Does she?
My mom is a teacher. She's
I was
always been a
wondering why
teacher.
she pushed you into the advertising thing.
No, again, my parents know nothing about advertising. They didn't know anything about advertising. They don't have a single connection in the the industry. My mom is a teacher, has been for 30 years.
Okay.
She's been a teacher in elementary school. She's taught in high school. She taught like
Oh,
advanced
wow.
classes in elementary school and stuff like that. Not advanced classes. It's like she taught for a while like a program that was just the like really really smart kids, I guess.
Right.
So she's an educator, and she just, I think, knew that I felt some sort of passion for this. I was talking to them all the time, talking about my advertising courses and things like that, and I think she just made a brilliant decision to kind of encourage me to do this, because I was really at the end of my road there. It was like, I had finished my sophomore year and I hadn't gotten into the journalism school. I didn't know. And I had also gotten some like really discouraging messaging from the journalism school, like you're just like try something else basically.
Right.
It's not going to happen. Like your GPA sucks and we don't really care, about your passion for this stuff. So yeah, shouts out to my mom.
Wow. Yeah. Damn. Well, I think it means you're definitely where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
I mean, with that kind of stuff. So, where was your first job out of school?
So when I was in school still, I interned at a place called Pilgrim in Denver. And just worked on social media posts here and there, little things like that, local kind of Colorado agency. And then I was applying for internships as my senior year was kind of coming to an end, and I got a message from an email from Crispin, who I had applied for in Boulder, and it was basically like a packet that was like a test, and I had like 48 hours or something to get the packet back, and it was like, I still have it. It's like a dense thing with like 20 questions, but each question was like, I'm trying to think, it was like design social post for a lamp brand on National Darwin Day, and then another one was design a logo for a fiber optics company. It was like
Oh, wow.
design tasks and kind of creative tasks, and I like went into a computer lab by myself for 48 hours and just like did it the best job I could have ever possibly done. Got the internship at Crispin. And then I worked there for just the summer, 3 months, and then I got a job offer from an ad agency in Atlanta, it's called Fitzco, but
Yeah.
at the time it was basically like McCann, Atlanta. And I got a job offer there for as junior art director, and my partner at the time and I drove to Atlanta and just took the job, and
Oh, wow.
that was the way I got my foot in the door.
Damn. So you drove from Colorado to Atlanta to take a junior art director job
I actually drove for the interview. I
just
drove
for the interview?
just for the interview. Yep. And I mean, it too is funny. In the interview, I had my buddy and I just drove, from Colorado to Atlanta, and we stayed in some hotel right across the street from the agency. And I hadn't slept the whole night before because I don't know, it was just chaos. Like I just driven all the way across the country, and I had this interview in the morning, and it was just a lot, and I just didn't sleep. Like I couldn't sleep. And I go in the next day for the interview, and I mean, I don't know if anyone even remembers this except me. The creative directors there were Mitch Bennett and Wes Whitener. They're super smart guys. And in the interview, I like blanked out, like just like didn't know what to say. Like they asked me a question, and I just like blacked out. Like I was like, what? I was just running on fumes. And they were like, "Do you need a glass of water, dude?" And I was like, "Yeah, like that'd be great." Went through the rest of the interview. It was like whatever, it was all good. But I was like, I blew it. I drove all this way, I did all this stuff, and I totally blew it. And they gave us the job offer still. And I think it was because they just knew they didn't care probably
Right.
nearly as much as I did that I blanked out once. It was like we drove across the country for an interview and we
How long was the drive?
oh geez, I made the drive a couple times because I actually drove back eventually, but I couldn't tell you offhand
Did you
exactly.
do
Maybe
it one without stopping?
we stopped one time in like Alabama or
Oh
something, like
God.
something crazy, some southern place, and stayed in a really bad little motel. But probably like 15 hours, that'd be my guess, but I could be wrong. I'd have to check it.
Wow, dude. Well, at least you got the job.
Yeah, yeah.
What an offer. So how'd you get back to the West Coast? Or
So I was in Atlanta working at Fitzco for about 2 years, and almost the whole time I was in a long distance relationship with my now wife, who was in Colorado, still in school, and I really wanted to get back there, but I was always like, I can't just go back for nothing, because
right.
I went to Atlanta. I wanted to get a job. I wanted to get my foot in the door, but I didn't know a soul in Atlanta. It wasn't like the place I wanted to be necessarily.
Yeah.
Um, and eventually, I got a job offer from a place called TDA in Colorado, which is like a small independent shop, but known for good creative work. And I took that, came back to Colorado, and I was there for not much time at all. And then I got a job offer at Mullen in Los Angeles,
Oh
and
wow.
I've been there for about like, over 3 years, I think now. It's crazy.
Damn, that's killer, dude. So did you get the Mullen gig? Was your wife graduated by that time?
No, not at that time. Well, so now she's studying for the LSATs. She's
Oh
going to
wow.
law school, but not at that time. But she's since graduated now, and yeah, she was just down to move to Los Angeles with me because it was just a good opportunity. I felt like I kind of wanted to get in at like maybe a bigger name shop. I had been at at Crispin just for an internship, but
Right.
the next two shops I was at were just kind of while they were good creative their reputation was good. It was kind of like no one really knew about them, so I
Yeah.
just thought Mullen was kind of the next step for me.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And you went from AD to senior AD pretty quick.
Yeah,
Pretty good.
yeah. Well, when I was in Atlanta, I was fortunate enough to win a bunch of big awards on this work I did with Rick Ross, called Buy Back the Block, and I think that really kind of jump started my career in a lot of ways. It like I think got the attention of places like Mullen,
Yeah, I bet.
and then yeah, I think it was just like I got there and I just felt like I was in a good. I felt like when I started that job, I had fully gotten comfortable with like this industry and what I'm doing, and I knew what I was doing, and I was very confident at that point. So yeah, I mean, I got promoted pretty quickly. It was pretty fortunate.
What's the biggest difference between art director and senior art director?
um, not a lot. It's
Yeah.
just I think you're just expected a bit more. I don't think the job really changes much. I
Do you get a
guess you're
pay
just
bump?
pay bumped,
Oh, that's
and
good at least.
yeah, exactly. And then you're just expected more. I mean, I think you can kind of when I was a junior art director and an art director, I could kind of get away with not knowing what I was doing every now and then. But
Yeah.
I don't think you really can do that as a senior. And you're asked to oversee projects from younger creatives and stuff like that. But yeah, not a whole lot of difference except just kind of responsibility level. I think trust that they have in you.
Right. Well, that's good. And at least you got some extra cash as opposed to just you
Yeah,
got a different title but no extra
of
money,
course. Yeah.
which that happens. I've heard
Nice.
quite a bit. How much do you do? Like, if you had to break it up into a percentage, print versus video for you personally?
Me personally, Percentage wise, I'm not sure. I mean, it all depends on just like the campaign and what's needed. So, you know, I do work on a lot of kind of big broadcast stuff on TV, commercials and stuff, but along with that is always print, and maybe not so much print as much as like, digital stuff,
Right.
social media, banner ads, and even I just did a whole campaign for the last 3 months with Snoop Dogg and Bad Bunny and Zoe Saldana for Out of Home too, because that was a big TV campaign for Corona beer. And
Yeah, tell
I
me about that, man. Tell me about how that came together, shooting it, all that kind of stuff.
yeah,
That was really because I remember seeing that commercial the first time it came on. I remember seeing it.
yeah, it's it's everywhere. Like
Yeah.
there, if you watch NBA playoffs or anything like that, like you can't get away from it.
But it's such a good one because it's not one of those where, I mean, there's some commercials you see it, and the first time you don't really pay attention, you don't realize it. Maybe like 3 or 4 times you see it. Oh, yeah, that's a cool commercial.
Yeah,
That commercial, the very first time it came on, I just stopped and
yeah.
just was fixated on the TV with that thing.
Well, thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah. So with that, I mean, we worked on the pitch. My old partner and I, we worked on the pitch a bit to win the business for Corona, and then the pandemic came, and everything just got put on hold. My partner went to another ad agency, and it was just kind of just everyone was in limbo. I wasn't even working on Corona. I was working on Grey Goose and Hawaiian Airlines and stuff. And then as things started to just well, I guess not come back together. I was still working from home and everything, but at some point they just put me on Corona and asked me to concept for Bad Bunny. I was basically in charge. Well, all my responsibilities were all things that had to do with Bad Bunny. So um, if you see Bad Bunny in anything, I worked on that, and then I also worked on some Snoop and Zoe stuff as well. But yeah, so we came up. My new partner and I had come up with just a bunch of scripts. We and I mean it was pretty simple. It was like your typical kind of situation where where you're working on scripts and digital ideas and all that kind of stuff to present to clients, and we presented them all to clients. I guess it was just really cool that you're working with just the biggest celebrities in the world. Like I'm a huge Bad Bunny fan. I'm a Snoop fan and everything like that. Everybody loves Snoop, but yeah, Bad Bunny is like one of my favorite artists right now, and he's just kind of like you know uh a very just youthful kind of artist.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I was just really excited, fortunate to be able to work on stuff with him and just write and come up with ideas
Were
for.
you on set for that when it was shot?
No, so
Did you get
it
to
was
meet?
all remote. It was all remote.
Oh,
So,
wow.
and I've done 2 shoots with Bad Bunny and Snoop and them now. So everything was remote. It was shot in Puerto Rico. The first time around, it was shot in Puerto Rico. And we were all on Zoom. Worked with a director who's really really awesome. His name's Christian Mercado, and he killed it. And we were all just kind of talking on Zoom and trying to relay messages to him, because it was also in Puerto Rico where there's a lot of restrictions, and you couldn't have very many people on set. So it was like one person. It was an account guy from the agency, and no one else. All the creative
Wow.
directors, all of like myself and my team were all just remote. So I would have loved to go to Puerto Rico and shot with Bad Bunny, but yeah, unfortunately we couldn't. But then the next time around, the second shoot, which we got finished with a couple months back, was actually all in studio. So it was like all blue screen backgrounds, and we shot plates all on Zoom, and we shot the celebrities, and kind of put them all together with MPC, the moving picture company, who did an amazing job like compositing all these different worlds together. But
Oh, wow.
um, yeah, I prefer working on set, obviously in person myself, but I preferred shooting the celebrities and the talent on beaches in Puerto Rico versus on a blue screen.
Blue screen, yeah.
I just can tell. I can immediately tell the difference. Like I don't know, I'm sure it's just me being nitpicky, but I can now tell after working with it so much. Like any movie, anything I'm watching, I'm like, oh, that's green screen, that's
I
blue
think
screen.
I screw things up for my family doing that while I'm
Yeah,
watching stuff like
okay.
that was shot on blue screen. That was shot on blue screen.
Yeah.
But
It's like it's
there's a
crazy how
story.
instant it is.
Oh yeah, they're using it everywhere. There was a story I heard years. I mean, this is from the 50s. They were shooting some guy and girl. I can't remember who the actor and actress were, but they were on the back of a motorcycle and they were being shot, with like the movie screen playing in the background to look like they're on the bike riding down the road.
Huh.
But they didn't put any wind in it. So the woman's hair is not moving.
Yeah.
Supposedly, the studio got all these letters from people going, "What kind of hairspray does she use? It's amazing. She's on the back of a motorcycle." And you look at it now and you go, "That is so fake. How could anybody think
Yeah.
that's real?" But people really thought it was real.
And
And
even
with the
when you
blue
do a
screen, so
good,
much better.
yeah, even when you do a good job, like I thought we did a great job and we did all we could do. I
Right.
just think you can just still tell.
Yeah.
It's just like it's a uncanny valley sort of effect where you don't know what it is that's wrong, but something's off when you're watching
Yeah. Oh, I
something.
agree. I completely agree. I think having it done, even especially like with the cars, when they're doing cars, you can tell us there's a blue screen
Mhm.
behind them and they're not actually in it. That
Yeah.
irritates me probably more than anything. And they do that all the time.
Yeah. I watched it was like a month probably a couple months ago, but I watched Shutter Island, like
Yeah.
that movie, and it was like I hadn't seen it since it came in theaters, and everything was blue screen, and I was like, it was like they must have shot on a not an island, like
Right.
everything where there was water
Yeah.
was clearly a blue screen. And I think also like 10 years ago is probably not quite as far along as it is now.
Oh
And I
yeah.
was just like, wow, I can't believe I watched this before and didn't notice this. It's wild.
Yeah. I think it just changes with how much you're around it and your perspective of it.
Yeah,
Most
definitely.
people aren't. So most people probably look
Yeah.
at it and just think, "Hey, it's real. They really shot it there."
Mm,
Do
yeah.
you did you have a much okay, I got two questions on the Bad Bunny thing. Did you have much control over who the director was on that?
Yeah. So I worked with my two creative directors on throughout this whole process. And especially the first time we were like really digging deep, like we found Chris, like he wasn't with maybe the major production companies that we kind of are normally looking at.
Right.
But he was from Puerto Rico. He had a relationship with Bad Bunny. And it was just like we just felt like this is the guy, like this is the move. And so yeah, I mean that was like, my partner and I had a really big say. The second shoot was a little more chaotic because like basically everything they tried to bundle everything. Like it was a scheduling conflict and all kinds of different things. It's tough to get these celebrities also
I bet.
like in the right places at the right times. But so they bundled Snoop, Zoe, Bad Bunny, all the different celebrities on with like one production company, one director. And you know what? The director did a great job. It was Tim Godsell, and he crushed it. But I think like the specialization and the care that you could really put in when it's just, this director is shooting for Bad Bunny and he can just focus all his energy, his or her energy on it.
Right.
It's there's just something nice about that. So yeah, I Tim Godsell is an amazing director, and I had an awesome time working with him. Um, so yeah, and obviously I kind of was in on picking him as well. So I had a big say on all of it, but I would like to be able to kind of keep each shoot custom. It was just a crazy shoot. It was like just I think it was too much, like too many things in one
Right.
situation. Like how can you wrap your mind around
Was
shooting
everybody shot separately?
35 commercials?
Were they all shot individually? So like they
Each
never met each other. Like Snoop and
no
Bad
no
Bunny
no,
never met and all that.
which is cool
Really.
too because in our first round we had footage of Snoop and he just was on a shell and he
Right.
was talking to nobody.
Yeah.
And this is probably like the most like kind of iconic commercial that everyone, asks me about and talks about. Is my favorite too. But so we had Snoop on a shell, and we just had footage of him like saying like, "Hey, what's up? Oh yeah, totally, man." Like it was just like we didn't even have a script at that point. And if you watch the commercial too, like we wanted to be able to have flexibility, so we actually just shot Snoop walking into the distance, like on
Yeah.
the shell, so you couldn't even. It wasn't like well shot, his portion of it. It was just so that like like we were like maybe we can make something of this. um and so we just have footage of him, so we can put anything in his mouth. We don't
Right.
see his mouth, he's walking away, and we can just have him say anything. So then at the very end of the shoot day with Bad Bunny, it's funny how it was like the most thrown together piece of the shoot, but we had Bad Bunny's section, and at that point we had like written to it, and we're like, all right, Snoop's gonna say this, Bad Bunny's gonna say this, and it was so silly. Like the commercial of all of them, it was like the least. I don't know. I mean, I guess not the right word. It's just it was so silly and just like almost pointless. Like they're just two guys having a conversation on a shell on the beach. Like it's ridiculous, but that one
It
really
worked.
resonated with everybody. Everybody
Who
thinks
came up with the
the
playa
playa
line?
playa. That was, I would guess that was Barton, my creative director on the account, who's an awesome writer. I would guess that was him. I'm actually looking back, I am not 100% sure, but it was probably him. Sounds
Right.
like
Yeah,
something
because I
like
thought
that.
that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
That's the line that really sticks in my head
yeah,
on that for sure.
yeah.
You
Those are
did one.
fun.
I saw another one you did was is like I think it was for a bank, and it was
Mhm.
basically like a fashion story.
Yeah, yeah. So that was when I was at TVA in Boulder. In my short time there, my partner and I at the time, we came up with a spot. Saving is in style was the campaign idea, and it was just like a spoof on like high fashion,
Yeah.
and it's for a bank, so it's kind of funny to just like we're picturing it's like a Dior spot, but instead of whatever they say in a Dior spot, they say like things about being really frugal. And that client First Bank was so cool. Like I don't even think they gave us a single note when we first sent back our first edits. They were like, "Yeah, this is great. Like, let's do it." Like they were
Wow.
so trusting. It's awesome client. But yeah, it's like a local Colorado bank, and we got to make a Super Bowl commercial, which ran. I think it wasn't like national, but it ran in like a bunch of states. Like
Oh wow.
it was it was meant for the Super Bowl. So yeah, it was cool, man. We got to like work with fashion models and stuff. Like the whole thing was like through the kind of casting agencies of the big fashion spots. That's
That's
who we were
killer.
looking for talent.
Who did you
So
have shoot it? Do you
the
remember?
director was Martin Granger was his name. Um, I felt in the end like I would have wanted it to be even further pushed, like
Yeah.
even more like crazy fashion. Like you see some of these spots for fashion stuff, and it's like so surreal and just so kind of out there. I think we found a nice space to play in, but yeah, it was fun. It was a fun
I thought it was a
one.
cool idea. Yeah, when
Thanks.
I was looking through your stuff, I thought that was very cool.
Thank you, man.
Do you have a favorite project shoot that you've done?
Um, well, I mean, they're all different. I mean, I'm super proud of the Corona stuff that we just made, and working with big celebrities is always cool. And same with the Rick Ross stuff. Like I was really proud of that, and it won a bunch of awards and stuff. But like honestly, lately I've been writing for McSweeney's, which is
Yeah.
like a publishing company in San Francisco, but they run like big satire website. It's like one of the most known satire websites. And recently, I just decided to just take a stab at writing for McSweeney's, even though I'm a designer. And I'm like super proud of some of those pieces that I've written and gotten published. Like it took me a really long time to break through with the publisher there and actually get published. Like I'm talking like 20 rejections,
Really?
like I was writing and getting rejected, but now I feel like I have a pretty like decent relationship with the editor over there, and he kind of likes my stuff, and he's seen me put in the time and the work. And so like right now, I would say like that's what I'm just like super proud of. I mean, I'm proud of all my work and
Right.
my career, but yeah, like it's just something that's so different for me, and I just want to like it's when you're writing stuff like political satire, it's just you can really express yourself in a way that you can't through other mediums and advertising and design, and it's just like you can really just sort of flex a totally different muscle. So yeah, so I'm really proud of that right now. I have three that are published, and yesterday morning I got notified that I have a fourth published. So I
Oh
don't know when
wow.
this is coming out, but it'll probably be out in the next couple of weeks. And
Very
it's
cool.
like my favorite one yet. Like I love it. It's yeah, it's a good one. So yeah, I'm
So
proud of all of it.
sometime mid-June, probably.
Yeah. Is that when this is coming out, or is
Oh,
that
well, your
yeah?
McSweeney's
So
thing.
he said the editor over there, Chris Monk's smart guy. He's like an author and really funny guy. But he says to me, because last time my third article that I got published was my first that wasn't timely. So the first two were like you can basically send to McSweeney's a 24-hour turnaround piece that's like right now, like what's the news story of the day today, and like you can kind of riff off that. So my first two pieces were like Trump related, like takes on like the first one was trying to remember exactly how it went, but it was like a short imagined monologue that was like, I am Belphegor, who is the demon of procrastination, like a real demon of procrastination from
Yeah.
like thousands of years ago, like stories and stuff. Um, and I think it's time for Trump to concede the election. So it was like around that time when he was like holding on for dear life,
Right. Yeah.
and so even the demon of like sloth and procrastination like things like
It's
it's
about
probably
time.
going to give it up. Yeah, so like I did that one, and I did another one that was like kind of just like really timely, and then I kind of gave myself the goal. I was like, I want to do one that's not timely. I want to do kind of an evergreen satire piece that isn't just like a riff on Trump, because Trump's too easy.
Yeah.
And so I that was my last one published, which was I'm Alexander the Great and I'm terrible at Risk, the board game. So he's like a world's greatest
Right.
conqueror.
Yeah.
He just can't play Risk well. So that one was my last one, and I don't know where I was going exactly with this, but this so okay, yeah. So he had told me like, okay, we'll get you a preview for this. Like it'll probably go up at some point pretty soon. And he didn't say any specific time. And the timely ones are like up. Like you send it in, and if he accepts it, it's
Right.
like you're going live like the next day. But this one was not timely, so I was like just waiting, and it had been like 2 weeks or something, and I was like,
Wow.
dude, what's going on? Like I was just like waiting and waiting, and I finally emailed him. I was like, hey, like I don't want to be like annoying, but you know when's my piece going live? And he's totally cool about it and said, this is when it's going live, blah blah blah. And so this time he said, I'll send you a preview in a week or two. Like trust me, like it's gonna go live.
Right.
And so yeah, this next one, I'm not sure. You never know. It's up to them when they want to publish it. But yeah, I would guess within 2 weeks from today, it'll probably be live. But
All right. So right about the time this will go up mid
nice.
late June. Yeah. So about the same time this goes live.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn, dude. Did you travel a lot before COVID?
Um, not
For
really
work
personally,
anyway?
but for work, yeah. Well, I guess when I moved to Los Angeles, I traveled less because everything's in Los Angeles,
Yeah.
so I didn't have to. But when I was in Atlanta and Colorado, I was traveling to Los Angeles a lot for shoots and color sessions and stuff like that. But me personally, I wish I should travel more. I've been kind of head down for the last couple of years, just trying to build my career.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm ready to get back to it. Do you have like a goal? Do you want to be CD, at some point,
Yeah,
or group
yeah,
CD
man,
or
of
whatever?
course, yeah. I think that's a good goal for me, but I'm really just trying to make work that I'm proud of. Keep. Right now, I'm doing these satire articles. I want to see if I can get published by the New Yorker. Keep pushing
Oh, wow.
there.
Very
The
cool.
thing is to like, um, I guess it's just got to be right. Like I don't want to like just level up to creative director as fast as I can
Right.
because I
Yeah.
feel like it kind of just limits you as far as other opportunities and uh, I've seen it happen before where people are creative directors at some random agency in the middle of nowhere when they're 22, and it's like I don't think it's necessarily a good look. Like I
Yeah.
think I want to be ready. I want to be kind of experienced and seasoned when I'm at that position. But yeah, I mean that's definitely a goal. I think like with the writing side of my career opening up, I think it's kind of interesting. Like sometimes I feel like people don't really love it, like because I'm an art director designer. They're not like that's not what they want to see from me. They want
Right.
to see me doing a side project where I am designing something and I'm getting published by it's nice that or like the little just design blogs.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious to see like where my career kind of goes and like if there's anyone out there that like sees that as the positive that I think it is, that's just like a creative exercise because it's very conceptual and not very design based. But I kind of like that. I like just trying new things and just like
I think it's probably good because it's got different parts of your brain working, which I think can lead back over into more creative things on the design side. I would think.
I would agree. I would agree. So, but yeah, I mean, I think that seems like a good trait to have in a creative director. I think is someone who knows both sides.
I would think, yeah, especially for a creative director, I would think you'd want somebody who can write and design because then they can look at the copy. Because I mean, you could have copywriters that are writing stuff, but then as a creative director, if you're good at it, then if you have a crap copywriter,
Yeah.
or they were phoning it in that day, you can go, yeah, that's not working.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. No, I'm with you. So yeah, we'll see. But that's definitely yeah. I think that's a good goal eventually.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So I saw you. Do you skateboard much? I saw you had some skateboard stuff on your Instagram at the bottom.
Yeah. I've skateboarded for forever since I was a young kid, but now I skate less. But like just the other day, I went to the skate park with my friend, and like skated for a while. It's crazy. I went to the skate park the other day, and I don't go very often. So now I'm trying to do the things I used to do, and it's like super dangerous. I'm like, I mean, I skated for many years. It's like I throw myself downstairs and handrails
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And when you haven't done it in a while, like the other day, I hadn't skated at a skate park because I'll skate like in garages with my friends and sometimes, but skate park is just like another story. There's kids there that are putting pressure on you, like to like send yourself, like, you gotta go for it. So I like just tried a pretty simple trick down like a little down rail and I like fell in such a crazy awkward way. Like I didn't even get hurt. I was fine. I had a sore neck or something, but like I was like, damn, I could have hit my head. Like this is dangerous territory. Like I gotta take it easy. But yeah, I've skated for years. I love skating. I'm like super in tune with the skate culture and yeah, I love it. I even like this is a funny story, very random, but I figured this is a good time to tell it
Yeah, absolutely.
on this. But so it was in the pandemic, and it was like right around the kind of George Floyd just murder and protests and
Right.
craziness. And this skateboarder named Andrew Reynolds, he's like a legend, like one of the biggest legends of skateboarding. He
Yeah.
might not be quite a household name, but in skateboarding, he's like up there with Tony Hawk. Andrew Reynolds, like he has a skate team called Baker, and I wasn't I'm not aligned with some of the kind of practices that they've done over the years. Although Andrew Reynolds is like a hero to me, and I just thought that they kind of treated um, kids of color kind of badly, and they kind of just used them up and spit them back out and whatever. I had some criticisms of the
Right.
guy, and I aired it out on Instagram. I just said it and I tagged him, and he messaged me. He's got like 1 million followers. He messaged me. He's like, "Why did you say this?" And him and I had, I've never told anyone this, almost anyone. Him and I had a long dialogue. Like he was very, shouts out to him for like being very open about it. And him and I like really talked, and he really listened. Like I have like screenshots. Like we talked and talked, and it's crazy to talk to like a childhood hero.
Yeah.
I was
Wow.
like really kind of educating him about just like how you can't treat every kid isn't the same. Like you take a kid from a really bad situation, economic situation, and give them some money. That doesn't mean you get to just when you're done with them, they're kind of cool factor. You just get to chuck them out and be over with them. Like you kind of you owe them something, and they don't get opportunities like this. I don't know. It was I had a long conversation with him about it,
Yeah.
and he listened, and he followed me on Instagram and stuff, and it's crazy.
Wow. That's
But yeah, it's
very
a random
cool.
story, but there's a little skate story.
Yeah, dude, that's very cool. Especially that he listened and wasn't just like, hey, he wasn't pissed off about it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I, so much respect
Dude,
for
yeah.
him
I
for doing.
I mean, I skated when I was younger. I wouldn't, I mean, I'll do good to get on a board and just kind of spin it around now and just,
Yeah.
not bust
Dude,
my ass.
just riding is nice. Just
Yeah.
like I think like I will stop doing tricks at some point, absolutely. But the main thing it's just so freeing to just cruise around on a skateboard. Just the ability to do that, I think, is like all you really need.
Yeah, it's fun. Dude, I
Yeah.
was at Venice Beach and was shooting some of those dudes at skating. And there was like
Oh,
a
I saw that. I saw
yeah,
that.
it's like a 12-year-old kid. That dude
Mhm.
was just, I don't know what he was practicing for,
They're
but he was training for something. You could tell he went there just to have fun. He was
they're so
absolutely
good,
training.
especially in California. It's like so overwhelming. Like especially going to Venice where it's all transition and bowls and stuff. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's not what I'm good at. But yeah, those kids are incredible. Going to skate parks in California is overwhelming. There's a lot of pressure. Like at a skate park, like it's intense. Like
That's what I was thinking. We said there's a lot of pressure. I could see like seeing some like 12-year-old come up and just nailing
yeah.
some tricks and getting,
And it's crazy because I've skated since I was a little kid, and I'm pretty good. Like I know that I'm pretty good. Like I would
I
impress
saw some of your
anyone.
videos. I was impressed. I was like, all
I would
right.
impress anyone who doesn't really skate every day or like isn't immersed in the culture.
Yeah.
But I still the pressure of going to a skate park is just like it's crazy. It really is stressful to go to a crowded park with 12-year-old kids who are like amazing, throwing themselves down sets of stairs, doing crazy tricks, and they're also not even the best. Like they're not
Right.
even gonna get put on. They're just kids.
Yeah. No,
Unbelievable.
yeah, I can completely understand. All right,
Yeah.
man. I'm going to ask you the last question, then we'll let you
Yep.
go.
Yep.
What's the strangest or coolest thing that's happened to you since you've been in advertising?
The strangest or coolest thing that's happened to me. Um, I mean, this is a kind of just like boring answer, but I guess the coolest thing is just getting to work every day and be creative and just make a living. I know it's like cliche, but it's just I'm grateful. I have an amazing life and opportunities. So dude, I can't complain. I think that's the coolest thing. Just every day, like you got to pinch yourself, just knowing that you can, live your life, make a living. I worked a bunch of bad jobs growing up,
Yeah.
and this is not one of them.
What's the
Doesn't even
worst
feel
job you ever
good.
had?
I worked on an alpaca farm for
Did
a while.
what?
Like I was on an alpaca farm, like a farmhand. Just this was like when I was in high school. This
They
is
have
like
a
the
lot
worst
of
job.
alpaca farms in Pennsylvania.
I don't know. I don't know, but there's one I know.
Wow.
And yeah, I like, picked up poop and it was like just awful. Like the smells and the like dealing with these animals, and like not just that, you're like cleaning
Oh yeah.
like old what are they called, stalls, and
Yeah.
mowing the lawn. And
You
I
think they're
actually got
worse than
hired.
horses? My daughter had a horse, so we did a lot of that.
Probably pretty similar.
Yeah.
I don't know much,
It
but
did not look like my daughter thought it was great, loved it because she was all into horses, but I thought it looked horrible.
yeah, I would wake up every morning at like 5 a.m. and go do this all day. And I got fired. This is the last thing I gotta go do, but I got fired because I put the wrong fuel in a like machine and totally broke the machine.
Oh,
And it was like I had been told, like, blue canister in this machine, red one do not put in this machine. I put the red one in one day, just like
was it one of those like a gas oil mix or something? If you just put in the gas, it'll
like that.
destroy it.
Yeah,
You know what
exactly,
I mean?
exactly.
Yeah.
Got fired, but it was a good learning experience.
Damn, man. All right, you
Thanks so
win.
much for having me on, man. I really, really appreciate it.
Hey, absolutely. Thank you for doing it. You definitely went on the strangest job I've heard anybody have or worse so far.
Yeah, I had some other strange ones, but that one comes to mind as the strangest.
Oh, yeah. Dude, thank you so much. I really appreciate it for being
Thanks for
on.
having me, man. Appreciate you.